Every single knife I own is as dull as a dildo. How on earth do people keep their knives sharp? Also, someone told me to throw out all the knives I own and just buy a new set and sharpen them after each use. Because once knives get dull past a certain point, they'll never be able to get truly sharp again. Is this true? I misread this as thought you said you use them as a dildo. I was like, what? Depends on the quality of the knives you have. But they do need to be sharpened from time to time by a pro or somebody who knows what they're doing. Honing a knife is different from sharpening. And that should be done regularly. That's the round thing that comes with a knife set you glide the blade against. Look at this guy, not sharpening his dildos. You sharpen them. Whoever told you knives are never truly sharp again is an idiot. Work sharp makes great sharpeners. Get an electric sharpener. You can find them at thrift stores sometimes. Sharpen once a month. Listen, some people will tell you to use a whetstone. That's way more effort and takes way more skill. You can get an excellent edge. But the electric one will give you a great edge without skill and in a fraction of the time. I bought an electric knife sharpener. Previously I would take them places and pay to get them sharpened. My local hardware store does it. There's a dedicated knife scissor sharpening place somewhere in town. And for a while the local grocery store would sharpen them for free, up to 3 knives per visit. And you would drop them off and pick them up a day later. As dull as a dildo is my new go-to saying. Just a safety hint: never sharpen your dildo. I know I'll never make that mistake again. Learn to use stone and steel. Using a stone takes practice and skill. But it is a wonderfully nerdy activity that is satisfying and can impress your friends. No, it is not true. Any knife can be sharpened when dull. The really bad ones just take longer if you sharpen with stones like I do. If the knife edge is damaged, chipped, I may use a file to speed things up, then finish with the stones. I keep our kitchen knives sharp with a steel. Just use it on them before use and they stay sharp. By having them sharpened. Get or use your honing rod once they are sharp. But bear in mind, if you have a $25 knife set from Walmart, this effort might not be a good investment. I used to keep cheap knives, but eventually I bought a $250 set for my wife and we set some ground rules and I hone them for her occasionally. She actually enjoys cooking more because they are so much faster and safer. Yes, safer. Dull knives can be more dangerous than sharp knives. Also, never put them in a drawer together. Use that block it comes with. I have a Chef's Choice electric sharpener that is easy to use. I sharpen every 2 to 6 months, depending on use. I also have a Chef's Choice honer. I hone before every use, also simple to use and quick. Lastly, start with good knives. Average person needs maybe 2 knives, a chef's knife and maybe a paring knife. Don't buy the giant knife set. Instead, go for quality and utility. My chef's knife is a Victorinox that cost me all of $35. My paring knife cost me maybe $20 at a restaurant store. And one more. Lastly, always use a cutting board and always hand wash and dry knives. Never leave in the sink. Never put in the dishwasher. Decent knives and a whetstone. Bonus is you feel like a king sharpening them. You mean your dildos aren't sharp? Mans needs to be investing in better dildos. Once knives get dull past a certain point, they'll never be able to get truly sharp again. Is this true? No, this is not true at all. Whoever said that must be pretty terrible at sharpening knives. Worksharp has some really nice products for beginners with some really great videos on how to use their products. Use those knives. You have to practice for a while. Then get some good knives and take care of them. I am totally assuming you have junk knives like most people do. If you have good knives that are just dull, You will be ahead of the game. Well, they sharpen them regularly. You can totally sharpen a dull knife. That's how forged knives get sharp in the first place. However, if you've ruined the temper on it, say by running it through a hot dishwasher many times, it may lose its edge very quickly. There are plenty of knife sharpening services that will do knives for $2.05 a piece. If you have decent knives, with a smooth edge on the blade, made from good steel, they will sharpen. If you don't have decent knives, throw them away and get some good ones. Then keep them sharp. It's not hard. If your knives have a serrated edge, like a bread knife, it's best to send that out to a service to sharpen. A lot of people have really cheap knives that have a rough serrated edge, almost like a saw blade. You can't sharpen those. But those knives are terrible and you should throw them away. While that is not true, it may be a good idea. At some point you need to have them professionally sharpened, not by some teenager using an electric sharpener at a store. X200B. I use a stone and take knives to a pro once or twice a year. Costs $10.15 per knife to be sharpened. Don't you people sharpen your dildos? Top life tip: please do not test if it actually is as dull as a dildo. No, don't throw them away. My husband bought an electric knife sharpener and it's a game changer. My tomatoes are no longer squished and the knives are so sharp I warn visitors to be very careful. Hubby has become very proud of keeping them sharp. I love it. Yes, I sometimes sharpen them myself. I have shitty knives and I've been doing everything wrong, but I bought a $10 manual sharper on sale at Ross, and every once in a while I go ham wild on it and the knives get sharp enough to impress me next time I use them. One of the knives is missing the tip. Broke off when I stabbed something with it and I never found it. And both knives have huge missing crevices on them. But they still sharpen and cut. I honestly think sometimes the little divots help. See No Evil Woman shrugging light skin tone. Peace. Thanks for this thread. It just inspired me to get out my knives and sharpen them again. Whetstones are easy to use well enough to keep knives functional. They are a pain though. I sharpen our knives 3 times a year and it takes me a few hours for about 6-10 knives. I get better and faster every time. I got the large flat stones that cover 510K grit for under $50. Sharpen them. Get a whetstone and watch some YouTube tutorials. You'll be slicing tomatoes into paper in no time. Sharpening isn't hard to do, especially if you use a guided system. All knives need to be sharpened from time to time. Some steels more often than others. Look into Work Sharp. They sell a bunch of different easy-to-use sharpeners. Buy good knives. They'll need to be sharpened. There are training wheels sharpeners that hold it at a good angle and have different grits, which is what I rely on to keep mine functional, as I do not have the energy to find a professional. It's not perfect, but it works way better than a loose whetstone or sharpening stick thing. Eventually I'll need a professional, but my block of knives is still real good after 10 years with my weird little sharpener. Planning to throw away after dull is wasteful and dumb, and we all should work to avoid that kind of buying behavior. Just get sharper dildos. The knives will be less dull by comparison. They don't shove them up their ass. To keep a blade sharp, give them a really good book, then they'll cut anything.